Shalom, shalom, everyone, and welcome back for the season finale of season 3. This is episode 8. Let's get into it. So, once again, I'm just going to basically let you watch this episode on your own without trying to spoil too much stuff for you. If there's anything that is confusing that sticks out to you, just let me know in the comments. I will do my best to answer it to you. But this one is going to open up with a flashback to King David and Queen Bathsheba coming into their throne room to see Jeduthun and Asaph as they present a new psalm to the king and the queen. And I want you to pay attention to this psalm because this psalm will tie into our main timeline with Jesus and his followers throughout this episode, specifically at the end as well. So, go enjoy episode 8 of season 3. If you haven't downloaded the Chosen app by now, I don't know what's wrong with you. If you have Prime Video, search for The Chosen. You can find all these episodes on Prime Video as well. Just search for The Chosen. This is season 3, episode 8. Hit pause on this video. Go watch episode 8. Come right back here. We'll get into our nerd notes, post-show discussion, and all the references that you can find in your own Bible. Enjoy episode 8 and the season finale of season 3. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the last episode of season 3. I will give you a minute to wipe away the tears that you probably have. Also, I have not pointed this out yet, but if you do watch the very last episode, the whole way through the credits, they do have some good blooper reels at the very end of the credits for each season. So if you want to go back and fast forward through the credits till you get to those, there are some funny moments, just so you know that in all the serious and heavy things that happen in this episode, they do keep things pretty light on set. So go fast forward through the credits and check out some of those blooper reels. All right, let's dive into nerd notes then. An augur was a prominent priest and government official in ancient Rome. Their role was to practice augury, a form of divination, by observing natural signs and interpreting them as the will of the gods, small g gods. And then a little background on the auspices that were also mentioned. It means observation of birds. They were divine signs interpreted by a religious official called an augur that we just discussed. The augur would observe the flight, behavior, and even the cries from the birds. Other signs could include thunder and lightning. Auspices were not predictions of future events, but rather indications of divine approval or disapproval for specific purposed course of action. Next, I just want to give you a little background on the Decapolis, where they were at. Greek word meaning 10 cities, was a league of Hellenistic cities on the eastern front of the Roman Empire, primarily in modern-day Jordan, Israel, and Syria. It was established in 1st century BC. The League was not a formal political union, but rather a collection of city-states sharing Greek culture and a degree of autonomy under Roman authority. The Decapolis cities were populated mainly by Gentiles and served as centers of Greek and Roman culture in a region with a large Semitic population, including Jews and Nabateans. And then quickly, when they were in the boat, and John mentioned the watches of the night. So there were 4 watches of the night. This was a timekeeping system used in the Roman Empire during the New Testament period, which was adopted by the Jewish people. This system divided the 12 hours of night from sunset to sunrise into 4 3-hour intervals. The 4 watches of the night being: the first watch was the evening watch from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. The second watch, known as the midnight watch, was from 9 p.m. to midnight. The third watch, the cockcrow watch, was from midnight to 3 a.m. And then the fourth watch, the morning watch, 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. The third watch gets its name from the traditional time that the rooster crows. That's it for Nerd Notes. Next up will be our post-show discussion, where we'll dive into what we watched in this episode and discuss a little bit more and hopefully learn a little bit more about what we watched. An important lesson can be learned from the young boy Telemachus in this one. Give Jesus whatever you have. He can do incredible things with very little. So how many times have we felt unworthy? We felt like we weren't good enough or equipped enough to do what God is calling us to do. It's not our job to feed the 5,000s. It's our job to only bring him the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. Jesus will take care of the rest. Jesus is the one who can do impossible math. I'm a numbers guy. I loved math in school. I'm still trying to figure out how 5 plus 2 equals 5,000 and even more, because they had leftovers even after the 5,000 were fed. So, other than the resurrection, this story, the feeding of the 5,000, is the only one, other than the resurrection, found in all 4 Gospels of the Bible. So my question for you would be, are you willing to bring your 5 loaves and 2 fish and lay them at the feet of Jesus? All right, let's talk about Eden a little bit in this one and the women followers. So they almost intuitively know what's going on with Eden when they see her clutch at her stomach. Now, Eden is jealous of Veronica in a way where Veronica was given joy and peace in her life after cleansing in the sea. But Eden ended up feeling even worse after she tried to cleanse in the sea, because her baby was still gone and her marriage was still on the rocks and kind of falling apart. Mary Magdalene mentions a beautiful point when she tells Eden that it's not about the rabbi that's in the synagogue, it's about the words from God. Now, how I long and wish that Jesus were still here and that we could go to him directly and see him face to face. But unfortunately, that's just not how it is for us. We may not be able to physically go to Jesus, but we do have his words and his teachings to learn from. Now, Yusuf provides Eden with words from Psalm 77, which we saw in the flashback opening for this episode. And sometimes in life, we just want to hide behind a smile and tell everyone that everything is fine. That's kind of what Eden's mother was doing when she asked for something maybe joyful and uplifting. You know, how many times in our own lives have we done that? Have we tried to hide behind a smile? Now, the beginning of Psalm 77 represents what Simon Peter is going through, a lot of anguish. But as Yusuf says to Eden, that's not the whole psalm, is it? You can even hear in the episode the music changes a little bit to something a little more uplifting and hopeful when Yusuf continues on in Psalm 77. Remembering what God has done for you, what God has done for all of us, is important. As it states in the psalm, what God is great like our God? There are none. God is always, always there for you. Next up, one of the big moments in this episode, Jesus walking on water. This account can be found in 3 of the 4 Gospels. It can be found in Matthew, Mark, and John. Now, the most detailed account comes from Matthew, and Matthew's account is also the only account where it's recorded that Simon Peter is called from the boat. Now, Simon is already referred to as Peter in Matthew's account in the Bible, but obviously he has not been renamed to Peter yet in The Chosen. Simon Peter's faith to step out of the boat onto the water is a faith that we all should strive for. When he had his eyes on Jesus, when he was focused on Christ, he was able to walk on the water himself. It wasn't until Simon took his eyes off of Jesus and started looking at the waves and the storm around him that he began to sink. How many times have we took our eyes off of Jesus and focused more on the troubled waters around us? Is it hard for you to focus and keep your focus on Christ when the waves of life and the storms of life are surrounding you? What a powerful and beautiful thing Simon Peter kept repeating after Jesus pulled him up out of the water when he sank. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. I also love how they cut to Eden, and as she is coming out of the water in the mikvah, she's saying the same thing, praying for her husband. Don't let him go. All right, so the main theme of this episode revolved around Psalm 77, so I want to dive into that here for a bit. This psalm starts out desperate. In verse 2, it says, "At night I stretched out my untiring hands." Being in this constant state of depression, having the need to have God himself hold your eyelids open, being so troubled that you cannot speak. And then jumping ahead to verse 11, "I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your miracles of long ago." So the Bible tells us that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Amen? So not just your own life, but look at what God has done for his chosen people in the past, leading them out of Egypt, providing food and water for them in the wilderness, leading them out of exile after exile, sending his only Son to redeem us all. The list goes on and on. So it ties into verse 13 and 14. Your ways, God, are holy. What God is as great as our God? You are the God who performs miracles. You display your power among the peoples. How many times in your own life has God come through for you? How many times have you needed bills paid and you didn't know where the money was going to come from? And yet somehow, in some way, the money is there to get everything taken care of. Your needs are taken care of. How many times have you faced a challenge in your life and thought, I'll never be able to accomplish this? But yet you do. I know that life can sometimes get hard and sometimes life can seem impossible. But since when has impossible ever stopped God? So it's very hard to remember, and I struggle to remember myself, but we need to go back to God's word. In the words of Jeremiah from Lamentations chapter 3, verses 21 through 23. "Yet this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. Because the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. We have to remember that God has been there before, and he will always be there when you need him. In every day, in every situation, good or bad, great is his faithfulness. Pain and suffering can be something that is hard to face, no matter what your belief is in. It can be something extremely difficult to understand when you are a follower of Christ. How can God allow these things to be? Why weren't my prayers answered? It's a question that many people struggle with, and it's something that sometimes makes people turn away from God. Now, the Apostle Peter, Simon Peter, gives us some words of wisdom on suffering in his first epistle letter. So I want you to go look up from 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 6 and 7, from chapter 2, verses 19 to 21, from chapter 4, verses 12 through 19, and from chapter 5, verses 8 through 11. It's like Jesus says at the end of this episode, he may let people go hungry, but he will feed you. This season and this episode specifically hit me so hard through my own experiences, through losing 3 babies. This Psalm 77, has meant so much to me to deal with my own pain that I struggle to understand at times. But like I just mentioned before, I have to go back to the words of God. Great is his faithfulness, from the words of Jeremiah. Great is his faithfulness, from the words of Job. The Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. I may never understand in this lifetime why my wife and I had to go through what we went through. But my faith in God remains the same. My faith in God is even stronger now because of this season and these last couple episodes. That is why season 3 means so much to me. All right, so to close out this season, I will give you all the Bible references that you can go look up in your own Bible. So once again, this is from opening scene is Psalm 77. The specific verses that are referenced in this episode are verses 1 through 6 and then 10 through 11. The part of Psalm 77 that Yusuf is reading to Eden comes from verses 2 through 4 and then verses 7 through 15. And then at the very end, the ending sequence, when they do the flashback again, that comes from Psalm 77, verses 10 through 19. Tell a mountain to move from here to there. You can find that in Matthew 17, verse 20, and in Mark chapter 11, verse 23. The disciples asking Jesus to increase their faith. That comes from Luke chapter 17, verses 5 and 6. Jesus' conversation with the conservative Jew when he says, look to the ancient roads. That comes from Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16. Jesus' rebuttal, forget the former things. Isaiah chapter 43, verses 18 and 19. The parable of the sower can be found in Matthew chapter 13, verses 1 through 23. Also in Mark chapter 4, verses 1 through 20. And also in Luke chapter 8, verses 4 through 15. The law of Moses prohibiting the wearing of 2 materials can be found in Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 11. The Father being revealed in the Son comes from Matthew chapter 11, verses 25 through 30. Luke chapter 10, verses 21 and 22. The parable of the man with 2 sons comes from Matthew 21, verses 28 through 32. The feeding of the 5,000 can be found in all 4 Gospels, Matthew chapter 14, verses 13 through 21, Mark chapter 6, verses 30 through 44, Luke chapter 9, verses 10 through 17, and in John chapter 6, verses 1 through 15. The parable of the hidden treasure and the pearl can be found in Matthew chapter 13, verses 44 through 46. The parable of the man who sowed a mustard seed can be found in Matthew chapter 13, verses 31-32. Also in Mark chapter 4, verses 30 through 32. And in Luke chapter 13, verses 18 and 19. Shmuel's reference to David, Psalm 13, verse 2. Jesus walking on water can be found in Matthew chapter 14, verses 22 through 33. And remember, this is the only account where Jesus calls Simon Peter from the boat. You can also find Jesus walking on water without Jesus calling Peter from the boat in Mark chapter 6, verses 45 through 52, and in John chapter 6, verses 16 and 21. And then, of course, at the very end there, Jesus calming the wind and the waves, Jesus calming the storm, can be found in Matthew chapter 8, verses 23 through 27, Mark chapter 4, verses 35 through 41, and in Luke chapter 8, verses 22 through 25. So that's it, guys. You made it through another season. Congratulations. I hope you enjoyed season 3 as much as I have. It's like I said, this season means so much to me. I connect with season 3 so much. It is probably my favorite one that has come out so far, although they're getting ready to come out with season 6 fairly shortly. In case you're not familiar, right now there are 5 seasons available to watch. There will be 7 seasons total. So if you get on Prime Video or the Chosen app, you can watch all 5 seasons. Every episode of the first 5 seasons are available to watch either through the app or through Prime Video. I highly recommend downloading the app because in the app you get a lot of behind the scenes content. You get interviews with the actors, interviews with the creator and the director, Dallas Jenkins, his co-writers as well. You get the Bible roundtables where a lot of my information comes from. So please, please, please go download the app. It is worth the while. Absolutely free to download, absolutely free to watch all the episodes. All you got to do to get access to the behind the scenes content is put in your email address. And then the advantage of that is you get updates on when they're going to do live streams, when the next season is going to come out, all that kind of stuff too. You'll get in your email. So it's absolutely worth it to go download the app, put in your email, get access to all the great stuff that I just mentioned. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for another episode and another season. I will see you soon for season 4. Until then, shalom, shalom, grace and peace. God bless you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.